and I'm not being like a soapbox person or whatever, that is so dangerous, and deterrence in discipline can work. So do something that says that can never happen again. Shout out idiots who did not just watch all of that Capitals Hurricanes game, myself included. I had to switch over when Pete was like, get over here. The Hurricanes smoked the Capitals, but the real story was how in the third period, this devolved into these teams don't like each other. Divisional rivals and just an absolute mess of teams kicking each other's asses. 1 million penalty minutes, misconduct, fights, everything you could possibly want.
Yeah, it was pretty unbelievable. There is 142 penalty minutes. Stankoven, Wilson, Dowd, Jankowski, Duhaime, Jost, McMichael, Chatfield, all misconducts. And like the Hurricanes absolutely kicked the Caps' ass last night. It was a real scene, but the bigger story here is that these teams could be in a collision course for the playoffs in the second round. They will meet again next week. I'm fully in on like a surprising rivalry that I don't think that we've ever considered.
It's a rivalry that makes sense too. Like geographically, they got to be the two closest teams to each other.
I don't know geography very much.
Yeah.
But yeah, that does make sense now that
two Mid-Atlantic East Coast teams.
Washington, Philly.
Yeah, I guess as far as Carolina is concerned, that would be their closest geographic rival.
Okay, can I just quickly note, by the way, as a little aside, fighting is having a moment in the NHL right now. Like,
fighting's back.
Fighting is back.
We didn't even talk about the Bruins fight yesterday.
Right, Jeffrey Veal and Dylan McElrath, an absolute marathon bout. And I watched that and I was like, damn, this used to happen back in the day. It doesn't really happen anymore. You know what? Maybe fighting can be cool. Bam, next night, Hurricanes and Capitals. So really it's just those pesky Capitals getting in the middle of everything, fighting everybody. But just haymakers thrown, madness. We'll do chat in a second. But yes, Sean?
No, I just feel like the NHL seemed like they might have responded a little bit to the criticism from not allowing the goalie fight, because the Bruins fight in particular was by all measures should have been stopped. Based on how the NHL usually referees fights, should have been stopped when the guys dropped to a knee, and they let it go, and it ended up being one of the greatest fights I've ever seen.
Well, I also, one of the things that we didn't hit on when we were talking about the goalie fight and not being allowed to happen was like the goalies have to remove their helmets to fight, and that's part of the reason why the NHL like doesn't want fights is like they don't let players remove their helmets. They allow them to keep fighting if the helmet gets removed in the process of a fight. But it goes back to what happened last night in the Chatfield McMichael incident, is that they don't want guys being in a position where they hit the ice and their head could bounce off the ice.
Okay.
And so maybe that's why we don't get goalie fights.
So let's get to the Jalen Chatfield versus Connor McMichael, because these two are fighting, and in the fight, and I think that we have pictures of it. We just want to check that we don't get demonetized or whatever. But there you go. These two young consenting gentlemen fighting each other. And Chatfield, I'll say, uses his leg to, and I apologize for the hit chat here, kind of, uses his leg.
This is wrestling chat.
Wrestling chat, very good. Uses his leg to take down Connor McMichael and really whip him around and throw him to the ice. He was not suspended. We have learned there's no supplemental discipline for it, but I mean, this is the picture.
Yeah.
Right here, Sean.
It's what we call a trip in the combat sports world.
And this was not an accident. This was not like, oops, we kind of got tangled up and he fell over my leg. Like when you watch the replay, Chatfield sticks his leg out and forcefully whips McMichael over his leg.
Okay, let's just do it. And if you want to come back to us, Sean, I cannot believe he's not getting supplemental discipline for this.
That's crazy.
That is so, and I'm not being like a soapbox person or whatever, that is so dangerous, and deterrence in discipline can work. So do something that says that can never happen again, because if that keeps happening, players will
smash the back of their skull off the ice.
Yeah, like, I don't want to get dramatic, but like someone's going to die.
You're way more anti-fighting than I am. I like the fights. I like the violence in the game. I don't like shit that is intentionally like dangerous and stupid and like not considerate or respectful of the opponent. And that was crazy, crazy dangerous and disrespectful and should have no place in fighting.
Eileen in the chat said, like, he kind of ruined the fun of last night.
Yeah.
like that was madness. It was great. Oh, okay, you got to keep up with this. Now these guys are fighting. Now these guys are fighting. And now where are we the next day, which is like, damn, that got out of hand, though.
My biggest issue with it is that, like, I get this happens, I think, not frequently, but it happens in fights, but there is no effort from Chatfield to, like, engage in an actual fight before this. Like, it was immediately like, I am body slamming you.
Right. And he dropped the gloves. Like,
Yeah,
he wasn't
exactly.
like, he wasn't like ambushed or anything. Like, he dropped the gloves to fight man to man and then did that almost immediately.
It's a good point that you
against
raised.
the guy who like is not a big fighter in McMichael.
Yeah, and I like fighting. I'm also like a huge combat sports fan, but in combat sports where the point is fighting, like there is a certain amount of respect for not only like the person you're fighting, but like the art of what you're doing. Respect for like actually engaging in a fight. And it did not seem like he had any interest in doing that here.
Like, I love when two guys are furious and go at each other and try to kill each other.
I mean,
not literally try to kill
fight.
each other, but try to like to actually like knock each other's heads off. And I also like when guys do that and then they like smile and like hug each other or whatever, or like give each other props in the penalty box. Both those things can have a place. I just think that this is an instance where there's clearly no respect or like decorum shown for the other guy, and I hate that.
Jalen Chatfield, 28 years young, has 3 NHL fights in his career. Would anybody, this is just a fun little Liam Horriban trivia style type thing. Anybody know who else he's fought?
No.
Sean might.
No, I have no idea.
His first NHL fight was against Tage Thompson.
Oh, metal.
What's that?
Metal. So this guy just likes picking on big guys.
Right. So good for him there.
Yeah.
And even we don't need to, and I know that it seems like just given the leg of it all that this was intentional.
Yeah.
But we don't totally know. Even if it wasn't intentional, got to give him 5 games. And
5 games.
I would do like a fucking real, don't even think about that ever again.
What is that? That might carry you into the playoffs.
Okay, fine. Let's do 1 to 3.
Yeah, I'd
fine.
give him 1 for it probably. I people in the chat are putting out like he's not a fighter.
Who?
Chatfield, I guess.
That's fine.
But
you're a fighter when you drop the gloves and you agree to fight.
Like, it doesn't really, don't fight then. And even if you are getting jumped or whatever, like, try and fight.
Yeah, right. It's the same thing as like when somebody who is not like a hitter delivers a dirty or dangerous hit. It's if you are engaging in a hit, you have to be responsible for your body and what you do in the hit. The same should apply for somebody who's fighting.
Yeah.
If you're not a fighter, but you drop the gloves, you have to be a responsible fighter.
It's like getting in a car accident and being like, I don't have my license. I don't know what you expected me to do. It's like, well, don't get behind the wheel of a car is what I expected you to do.
Daniel Paille was once suspended 4 games because he tried to throw a hit. And that was the last time Daniel Paille tried to throw a hit. He was like, I'm just not a, I think he ended Raymond Sawada's career. It was horrible. And after the game, Andrew Ferentz was like, his own teammate was like, that can't happen. Can't do that. So if you're not a fighter, guess how to fight. Don't make up new rules.
We all silly like the mayor.